and Omega Wave app.
Everything's Omega.
Cool. Like it's like heart rate monitoring. HRV is heart rate thing, and then there's companies that do essentially the same thing, but just some not as well as others. Raph, just before, that's what you just need it. Like you would push it, but the arm wasn't bent, and then like it would like not go that close. Yeah. So you want it reasonably close to your mouth, Lauder. So like.
Lauder's got a good voice.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, that's perfect.
What was the gold medal you won, also?
It was a medley relay 2007 World Championships.
Alright, so I was thinking about this before, and we're not going to call this episode anything because we don't know what it's going to be. Because we don't know when we're going to bring them out. So
you're listening to us from the past.
Yeah, this is episode 20 something.
It could be 30.
Could be 30. Could be 30.
And don't pigeonhole me into like a category just yet.
No. Yeah.
This is the Olympian category. So like this is going into all our podcasts with Olympians.
Yeah. Laura, just bring that one in a little bit closer. Just bend that mic arm. There you go. That's perfect. All right, cool. So guys, welcome back to the Mind Muscle Project. We're here today with a very special guest who's been waiting around for a while, but we're very fortunate to have him on. And it's Andrew Lauterstein. And Lauterstein?
It's definitely Stein.
Lauterstein.
Dad says Lauterstein as well.
Lauterstein.
Yeah.
Well, just call him Lauder.
There you go.
And he's actually probably one of the most interesting CrossFitters outside of in terms of athletic background and what he's done with himself. And he's quite a business-minded entrepreneur, so I hear. We'll get into all that. Awesome. But Lauder, thanks so much for being on, man.
Yeah, it's good. Good to come onto the podcast.
Yeah.
I'm a listener, so
awesome.
it's nice to contribute.
Yeah, cool. So thank you. And so tell us about yourself, because you did tell me, and I've forgotten all of it because there's too many things. So what sort of accolades do you have to your name?
As far as swimming goes, I was on the national team from 2005 until 2010. So I made my first national team in year 12. And that was the World Championships, and then so kind of went through the Olympic cycle. So I went to World Championships, Commonwealth Games, the World Championships, and then went to the Olympics in 2008. Then 2009 was a World Championships. 2010 I made the Commonwealth Games. I didn't compete in the Commonwealth Games in India because I was sick, and then kind of floated through 2011 with illness, and then 2012 I felt like I had a really good preparation, but that kind of lingering illness, which we may go into a little bit later on, kind of affected me come the Olympic trials in 2012, and then after the Olympic trials and not making the team, I kind of hung up the swimwear, the engine togs. Little plug. But it was so after 2012 I kind of hang up the togs and slid into the business world. And kind of, I think the other thing about me is before I was swimming and while I was swimming, I also was really interested in other sports. At high school and stuff, I played state level footy and also state level baseball. Kind of that's maybe helped me in my transition from being a swimmer, where they kind of lack a lot of hand-eye coordination and body awareness, into kind of the CrossFit world.
So how long did you swim for before you made the national team?
I never did learn to swim lessons as a real child. I was able to watch my brother, who's 2 years older, swim, and then just copy him. I kind of hated being told what to do. So kind of 3, 4, 5, I was able to pick up skills from my brother and listen to what he was being taught, and then could just apply it. So all like that house school sports and districts and zones when you start grade 4, 5, 6. I made the state team in grades 4 and 5 without doing any training or anything. And then in grade 6, after I won nationals, I kind of realised that I was quite good at swimming, and so I started training and joined a club, and then from there it went from 3 sessions a week in year 6 to 5 sessions in year 7. Then kind of by year 9 I was probably doing that 8 or 9 sessions a week, like what your traditional swimmer does.
Right. And what was your stroke?
So I started off when I was probably 12 or 13 doing free fly and back. I just could never do breaststroke. I was always a sprinter, so mainly the 50s and 100s. As an age group swimmer, I would win the 50 free, 100 free, 100 fly, 100 back consistently throughout. And then my first national team in 2005 actually made it as a backstroker because there was a gap in the Australian team, even though I was predominantly more a freestyler and a butterflyer. I saw the gap and I kind of mixed up my training for 6 months, made the team, and then so 05, 06, I was a backstroker and didn't quite make the gains that I was wanting to make, and I felt that if for that long-term goal for 2008, I had to possibly look to go back to butterfly because there was probably more scope for me to improve. I was a 54.800 backstroker for 2 years and just didn't feel like my technique was like that good. And I was probably more comfortable at doing fly. So 2007, I qualified. So after the Commonwealth Games, I kind of said to my coach, I want to try and do free and fly for 2007, and we can make a decision on what stroke we want to look to do towards the Olympics the following year, based on how I go off one preparation. So made the free and the fly for that World Championships, and did well enough for me to want to continue to do that for the next year, and then qualified for the Olympics in the 100 fly and a freestyle relay.
And what Olympics was that you qualified for?
So that was Beijing 2008.
Okay. And was that a very exciting time in your life?
Yeah, it was good. So I was 21. I was living on the Gold Coast. Is
that where you grew up?
No, so I grew up in Melbourne.
Okay.
And then when I finished school, my coach moved up to the Gold Coast, got a really good opportunity at Southport Olympics, so where CrossFit Broadbeach is now based.
Oh, yeah, I've seen them do the swim mods and stuff.
Yeah, really nice pool. So they had a drop-in pool, beautiful brand new complex right on the spit in Southport. So it's a really good opportunity for me to move straight after school, to go up there and train in those kind of ideal conditions. I made a World Championship team training in a 25-metre indoor pool that was only kind of up to nipple height at one end and could barely dive at the other. So to go from those really poor conditions to, the 50-metre pool where you can train your starts and turns and the skills a lot better, made me improve like straight away.
Right.
So I was up there. What was your question? Doesn't matter. I'll carry on. So I was up there on the Gold Coast. I was like coming from Melbourne, like it's real cold, and then I moved up there and grew my hair out, got an earring, super bleached blonde hair, made sure I was like the most tan dude ever, and I was riding around on a moped. I'd have a moped.
Embracing that lifestyle.
Yeah, I embraced it. I moved up there, had a sling bag.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, from Army Disposals, and just thought I was an absolute dude. So that was a really good time up there on the Gold Coast. I was there for 3 years. So I was with the same coach from 11 to 21. And then off the back of the Olympics, kind of had the opportunity to move to Sydney. Where they were forming what at the time was called the Super Squad. So I moved to Sydney and started training with Eamon Sullivan, Libby Trickett, and a few other guys that were on the national team, and it was a fully government-funded program. So from going training just with the club to this elite level program was kind of the next step up, which allowed us to travel and race a lot more than what we were doing, which for me at the time was really appealing, because the life of a swimmer is you kind of do your 20-week block at home. You may go to altitude, which is at Thredbo once, but it's just a real grind, and then you race. So the ability for us to go over to Europe, like what I did in 2009 for 3 months, we're based out of a place called Busto Arsizio, which is like 45 minutes out of Milan. We were based there, so the AIS have got a European training centre there. We were based there, and of a weekend we could fly to Barcelona, race. We'd fly to Nice and race. Would just follow around, and but by the end of it, people understood that we were there, so we were getting paid appearance fees to go and race at these meets, and I was really confident in my racing. To have that ability to race the best in Europe on a weekly basis was awesome. And
a weekly basis?
Yeah.
Wow.
We were racing as much as possible.
Okay.
There's the Mare Nostrum series, so that's a 4-legged series. You race on a weekend, race midweek, weekend, and then midweek, and travel around. And then there's just always an event on, and a little bit more money in the sport over there as well. So a really good opportunity. I raced in a park like underneath the Eiffel Tower and a beautiful custom-built outdoor pool.
Wow.
And I raced at Giorgio Armani's like sports club and won a BMW motorbike.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
it was a good
Do you
time.
still have it?
No, I sold it to him, €5,000.
Sold it back to him.
Yeah,
That same day.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
So to bring it back to CrossFit, how much harder is thrusters and rowing that you did last night than 50 meters of butterfly?
A lot harder, actually.
I fucking knew it.
Much harder. Yeah, like we were speaking about a little bit before, like the thing about CrossFit, and I would really like a lot of swimmers to try and apply some of the stuff that I now know and have learnt from CrossFit to their swimming world. That pain that you get in CrossFit is unlike anything you get in swimming. Like you may get a little bit of lactic acid at the end of the race, but not for 10 more minutes after doing.
Very aerobic.
Yeah, it's really aerobic. A lot of the mobility stuff that we do at CrossFit, like just the functional movement stuff that we're doing here is on another level to whatever I was doing as a swimmer. And like I've got a couple of, through work, we sponsor maybe 40, 50 athletes or whatever, and I have a chat to a lot of them about the stuff that I'm doing here and pass that on to them. And they're at the top of their game in surf, life-saving, triathlon and swimming, and it's like blowing their minds.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting that like it's a pretty normal gym and like anyone can come and they're doing things that are like you weren't doing, and you're in the government-funded AIS and stuff like that.
Yeah, I guess that's the beauty of a gym where you can experiment a little bit more. It's a lot harder to experiment on an athlete who's already at that really elite level. So say someone comes to you as an Olympic swimmer and this is what they've done. Like you may tinker it a little bit, but to make those wholesale changes, it's a lot harder. Whereas here, like there's people willing to to drop whatever they're doing to do Smolov, just to make their back squat better, and then see if that applies. So but whereas in the swimming world, like or in that elite level space, like your window is X. You can't really afford to make those
like your window
wholesale
to make it to the Olympics. You mean like your little
career,
career,
yeah. Like it really is. Like you get. The swimming's like a really hard sport. Like it's really draining because you really get 2 opportunities to swim really fast a year, and it's a 20-week preparation, a 3-week taper, and then you've got to hit it. And from January the 1st that on April the 16th at 7:37 is your 100 meters butterfly, and if you're not on at that time and you don't come first or second at the Olympic trials, you don't make the Olympics. So all that work's not worth it. So you like being erring on the safe side is what I think is just the norm in that sport. Whereas here you want to take that risk to like elevate a little bit more, but in swimming it's just not.
There's no taper in CrossFit, really.
There's not.
There's like a little bit of a deload and then.
Oh, tapering is skipping the PM session.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you hit it the next day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or day off / swim for Benji.
Yeah. Well, he does swimming?
He writes swim in the program.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
I don't do it.
You don't do it anymore?
No. I never do that.
Oh, okay.
No, I'll go down to the beach or something and have a bit of a swim, but I don't do laps anymore.
Right. Yeah. So I've got a sort of an interesting question. How have you seen your body change to someone who was so specific in what they had to do for such a specific time domain to someone who needs to be good at everything now?
The first one I would have noticed is my quads. Like I have to wear stretchy jeans all the times now. So my legs have definitely gone a bit bigger. I've probably got overall, like I've put on probably 6 kilos, 7 kilos of muscle. I was probably racing around 89, 90 kilos when I was swimming.
Okay.
And now I'd be kind of 97, 98.
Yep.
I'm just probably a lot more dense. And when I was swimming... and I was swimming fast, I didn't look like I was like pumped and kind of activated and ready to go. And I think that comes back to like the amount of volume that I was doing as a swimmer. I probably don't think I was like as finely tuned as what I could have been, just because of, again, like that erring on the safe side. It's like this is what we did when you were 14, 15, 16, 17, and that was 8 or 9 6-7 kilometre sessions a week. Let's just continue that formula. Whereas I think maybe if I had done a little bit less and more higher intensity, like that could have adjusted my body, and I could have been that little bit more finely tuned and you know, ready to go.
So even though you were you were a sprinter, you weren't necessarily training like a sprinter. So you're putting in a lot of volume in terms of just meters. You weren't doing.
There's a lot. It's changed a little bit. Probably in the last 3 or 4 years, like what they call in swimming world garbage yardage.
Yeah.
Like just some coaches have the idea that 16 weeks out we want to be doing 70 kilometres, and it doesn't. There's bits and pieces that they want to put into that 70 kilometres.
Yeah.
But everything else is just garbage. So the warm-up could be 3.5k of kick, pull, swim, some medley and a little bit of drill.
Yeah.
And then they'll drop in that main set that they want, and then it'll just be like a 3k pull set at the end or something, just to make up that yardage, where there's not a whole lot of like specific stuff. So they've got the specific stuff, and then there's all these bits and pieces in between that's kind of making people weak and slower, I reckon. Well, that was...
You didn't think that at the time.
I didn't think. I just did what I was told.
Yeah, of course.
I didn't look into it.
And that's what the best athletes do.
Yeah, I trusted in what I was doing.
Yeah.
And now that I've read into it more and I'm doing this, and I'm really passionate about like the sport of swimming and strength and conditioning and CrossFit and stuff, that I think that in hindsight I could have been slightly better. Maybe not like a whole heap better.
But slightly better is a big difference at the top, right?
Yeah, just
0.1 of a second is huge.
Yeah, 0.1 second off the blocks, a little bit more power off the blocks. It helps you streamline, helps your dolphin kicks underwater, and you could sneak, if you sneak 0.3 of a second in the first 15 metres without any extra effort, that's a lot.
Yeah,
That would have been the difference between, would have been not third in the 100 fly to first, but I would have been clearly third and really been pushing those guys.
Yeah. So what took place in Beijing? What events did you do, and how'd you go in them, and how'd you feel about them?
Yeah, so I was involved the 100 fly.
Okay.
I came third in the 100 fly, so that
Olympic bronze medal, not too bad, not too shabby.
So if you remember, there was a race in Beijing so I was involved. I was on the dais with Phelps 3 times, and to be involved with Phelps throughout that Olympic experience was awesome. So we raced together 2, 4, 3, 7 times. So 7 times that I was in the marshalling room, 7 times I went out behind the blocks and went through that whole process with him, and that was something really special. So the 100 fly was third, and it was the race where you may remember it didn't look like Phelps won, but he won.
Yes.
I came third in that race.
Right.
Yeah. That's like my little claim to fame. And I beat the current world record holder at the time by 0.01 as well. So
hectic.
Phelps got Milorad Kavic by 0.01, and then I got Ian Crocker by 0.01.
Where's he from, Ian Crocker?
He's a US guy as well. Yeah. So that was really good. And then to swim in the freestyle relay and the medley relay with mates was awesome. Be on the podium with guys that I'd been through that whole 4-year cycle with was really good. We probably don't do in swimming. Everyone's based all around Australia, and you only really come together at the end. But we were a really close knit group, so it was good to be involved with those guys.
So for like quite an individual sport, swimming, staring at a black line the whole time, you definitely thought that sort of team sort of aspect of it was pretty good? Yeah.
Like the culture in the team in 2008 was unbelievable. It was a lot of people from like 20 to 24, and we had been through that cycle together. In 2006 at the Commonwealth Games here in Melbourne, the men's team didn't win a gold medal individually. So that was like a real kind of low point of swimming. We'd for swimming, for male swimming in Australia, because we'd lost Thorpe.
That's right. There wasn't anyone really fantastic for a while.
So they were really questioning like us as men. So we kind of came together, and because we were just boys in 2006, and we kind of were the men of the team by 2008. Okay. And at that Olympics, none of us won a gold medal, but what we did was, like, I got third in the 100 fly. Brenton Rickard got an individual breaststroke medal. Eamon Sullivan got an individual freestyle medal, and Hayden Stoichel also got an individual 100 backstroke medal. So it was like we'd made a significant gain in those couple of years by coming together. And then obviously when you swim in a relay and you've got 4 individual medalists, you put together a pretty good team. It was just disappointing that the butterflyer, which was me, got smashed by Phelps.
Yeah.
I went in first and then came out second. But to be involved with him and the things that I learnt from racing against him and how and what I can apply to the rest of my life is like the stuff where at the Olympics, like to race like your superhero, someone that I'd watched on TV, and I'd always watch him do his like trademark backslap. So like just before he gets in the water, he does that massive slap. And I remember standing behind the blocks, and I had some music on, and I was pretty relaxed, and the crowd didn't affect me because I was in my own space.
Zone, yeah.
I had my own lane, which I'd always kind of done, like my own piece of water, and no one could affect me, and that was the way I'd always prepared.
Yep.
I knew that I'd done the work at training, and I was just going to go out there and execute my race. I was going to dive in. I was going to be 11 dolphin kicks, 2 strokes with my head down, breath, and I knew exactly how I was going to land on the wall because I'd gone through that mental rehearsal so many times. I was standing behind the block, and the whistle blows, and that's when like the 15,000 people in the stands go silent. And that's when, so after the whistle blows, you get up on the block. And with that silence, that's when Phelps does this backslap.
Right.
So I'm standing on the block, complete silence, like still in control. And then I hear him do his like bend over backslap. And I'm just like I just start shaking and just like, hurry the fuck up and press. Like it was the longest like silence of my life until the judge said, "Take your marks," beep.
Yeah.
And then I was still like literally just like shaking. And then as soon as the buzzer went, I was just like bang, I was straight on it again.
Yeah.
It was like I was actually almost just a robot. The only thing I had to do in that 100 fly was not try. As soon as I would try, I would tighten up, shorten up my stroke.
Yeah.
I'd lose my efficiency, and my whole race plan would be off. So it's that, just having that flow in my 100 fly, that rhythm, bang, 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 because you've done all the work. You don't have to try any harder.
Yeah.
Like you just hit that stroke rate, which was for me 50, and from the start to the end, it's going to be the same the whole way through. And it was amazing that even though I was that nervous, as soon as that buzzer went and I dived in, I was able to execute. So that's something that I've always had really good confidence in. And I probably don't do the open as well as others, but when it came to regionals, as soon as I walked out on the floor and I knew what I was going to do and how I was going to go about it, I felt like I could execute, and that was something. It doesn't just happen overnight. Like I raced swimming for a shitload of time and have done a lot of races and experimented a lot with different techniques on, like, geeing myself up, being super relaxed, meditating, the style of music that I listen to, and I still don't think I ever found the perfect thing, but it's about not being stuck in the one.
Sure.
Because like I would work with sports psychs and stuff, and it'd be like, and Andrew, so like, this was when I was swimming a bit shit.
Okay.
It's like, Andrew, you need to be really relaxed before you go out and before you go out and race. And so, like, the hardest time to relax is when you're nervous, and then you're like, am I relaxed? Come on, just relax. Just like, oh yeah, you're relaxed. Oh, you're so relaxed. But you're getting more stressed about getting relaxed.
Yeah.
And then like you're just questioning it the whole time. So you just have to go with kind of what feels natural, but have some form of routine as well.
Okay. Yeah, that's pretty cool. And you obviously apply a lot of that stuff to CrossFit now, like the open workouts.
Yeah.
Or what went through your head before your first open workout, snatches and burpees?
This is 13.1.
Yeah,
13.1, the very first workout.
What words did you say to Ben Schwartz?
Yeah, I was pretty nervous, and the thing that I've always found about CrossFit is that I probably get more nervous about CrossFit than I ever did with swimming, just because, one, I don't think I'm that good at it, and two, swimming, it was 100 meters of butterfly, you know what I mean? I knew how it was going to feel, and I trained exactly for that. Whereas all of these workouts, I haven't trained exactly for that. And so that burpee snatch workout, I was absolutely shitting myself. And I said to Ben, mate, I'm more nervous now than I was for the 100 fly final.
That is crazy. That's crazy. So how did you get into CrossFit? How does someone like yourself go from this Olympic level, and how do you transition back into regular life? If you want to call it that.
Yeah, I was fortunate enough with my work now that I was working part-time when I was coming towards the end of my swimming career. I think I recognised a little bit earlier than others that like my time was kind of coming up and that I would have to look into life after sport. And then I think the best thing that I did was as soon as I finished swimming, I didn't really tell too many people that I was finished. I just never went back, and I still have just never gone back. I have never really retired or quit or whatever. I was swimming because I loved it. Every time after a major competition, we were supposed to have 3 weeks off. After 2 weeks, I was already swimming and running.
So you really did enjoy it?
Yeah, I loved it.
Oh,
I loved it. Yeah, I loved it.
Not many swimmers say that.
No, I loved the training. I loved everything that went with it. I loved the racing. I like training, like even if it's CrossFit, running, whatever. I like having a goal and working towards it. And I think that was the best thing that I did. As soon as that London Olympic trials was finished, I said, there was a half marathon or something in 10 weeks' time, I'm just going to do that. And then straight away, I just like started running and had filled my week with something. So I went from part-time work to full-time work, and then still had that lifestyle goal of running a half marathon. And then I was involved with, as far as getting involved with CrossFit, I was involved with this program called Awesome, where it's a fun...
Sounds so awesome.
Yeah, it's like the Awesome Crew or something. And it's a worldwide thing, and you come together, there's 10 people, and you go out for dinner, and people submit like business ideas on what they would do with $1,000.
Okay.
So you sit around in like a table of 10 and you run through the 10 business ideas that have been sent in that are okay. And then at the end of the day, you each put in $100, and then you put that $1,000 in a brown paper bag and send it to the person and say like, all the best with your idea, no strings attached, just go and do it.
Yeah.
Nothing really came of it except for like some knitted sweaters for some homeless dogs or something like that. But I was involved with Awesome, and a guy that I met through there, Dan Wern, he said, you should come along and try at Schwartz's. So I came along and just got involved, and then from the first time I came in, I just loved it. I actually enjoyed being shit at something, starting from the bottom and started from the bottom. Now I'm here. But yeah, starting from the bottom and just seeing improvement, because I hadn't seen that improvement for a long time, and seeing that improvement in swimming is really hard to see. Yeah. Whereas in CrossFit, you can come in and you can improve your back squat, improve your gymnastics, your handstand push-ups. There's all these modalities and all these different rep ranges and stuff that you can improve on a daily basis, and I just loved it. Yeah, I like getting better. And
still love it.
Yeah. And like like every day, come in here and improve your, that 3-position snatch that we did last night. Like that was a PR for my power snatch and stuff like that. And that's what keeps you coming back and eating right and doing the right things during the day.
Yeah. And did you take some things like how you were eating, for example, in swimming, which we can sort of get into, but were you taking that into CrossFit? And like how you and your mindset for swimming, you're like, okay, well, if I just come in and I just train more than everyone else and put more work in, I'm just going to be the best CrossFitter. Is that sort of what you started applying? And
I've never wanted to be like a CrossFitter.
Right.
CrossFit really fit into my lifestyle of kind of working hard, a kind of short. When I first started with Group 2, it's not really the case now. A short window of time of an hour and 15 minutes of coming in, working really hard, then getting on with my day. And at first, that was what I really liked about it. It just fitted in perfect. I just did 6 to 7 a.m., went to work, and felt like I could eat and drink whatever I wanted throughout the day because I'd done my workout. But as far as the changes with the way I've eaten and the way I kind of look after my body in regards to mobility, that's probably improved like post swimming, or the care that I've taken into it. Yeah. Probably the last year of my swimming, I was doing some strength work with someone who trained under Charles Poliquin. So that whole closer to a paleo form of lifestyle was the way I was living my last year of swimming, and that was probably when I was the fittest and my strongest. So I kind of carried that through and still eat relatively paleo now.
Whereas paleo.
Yeah, that's I always.
Honestly, I thought you were talking about some sort of rice dish.
Yeah.
Sort of like, I was like, can we get some paleo in here?
I've been saying
some paleo.
I say paleo because and now I don't know
like a
which
Spanish
one.
rice dish.
Paleo.
I used to say paleo as like a joke, and now it's I don't.
You don't know which is the right one.
I was questioning it when I said it, and you guys didn't like flinch.
No,
so I was
well,
like, maybe I'm
you
right.
said it. I'm like, okay, this is. I think he meant paleo, and I'm gonna wait till he says it again. Okay, fucked up. I'm gonna tell him.
It should be paleo. That's the Australian way to talk. Australians don't say paleo.
Paleo.
Oh no, what do we? I don't even know. Let's move on. If I say paleo, is that right?
Paleo. Well, that's what everyone thinks is right.
What do
I've
I
never
say?
heard paleo.
Paleo. So, but when I was swimming at my best, like it was still that cliched, lot of refined carbohydrates,
Pasta,
breads,
rice.
pastas. Yeah, and you go away on a national team and there's 100 people and they feed you out of Bay Marie's and that's all you're given.
Yeah.
And you just see people, in hindsight, looking back now, it's crazy. Like, you know, your afternoon snack, so there's breakfast, lunch, dinner, obviously, and you do the heats and finals morning and night. So everyone, before they go off for the finals, comes in for an afternoon snack and everyone's just having bread with honey. That was like, it was just toast, you know, and like now that's not the way that I think people should be fueling themselves 2 hours before like a major event. There was just like in hindsight now, like though just tinkering a few of those little things. And as we said before, the difference between first and fifth in like a sprint event is not a whole lot. Maybe that could have made those differences as well.
Yeah, right. And so you mentioned before we started that you got quite sick. Do you want to tell us about what happened?
Yeah, so when I was in Italy and racing really well was 2009. Around that time was when Jeff Hugel made his comeback. So I'd been the best butterflyer for 2007, 8 and 9. So he, and then we had that super squad. He came and joined the super squad. And I've always been like the benchmark for like since I was 11 or 12 for like kind of work ethic and I'd always lead the lane. I'd be the first one in, the last one to leave, probably doing more than anyone else.
Yeah.
And so he kind of, probably the best thing he could have done was pick me and just copy what I did.
Yeah.
And for me, at first, it was awesome to have someone that I looked up to because he won I think he got second or third in the Sydney 100 fly. So he was in Sydney Olympics 100 butterfly. I was Beijing Olympics 100 fly. And then we were going to look to work together to race at the Commonwealth Games.
Yeah.
But then that competitive side of me, as he was kind of shedding kilos week after week, like literally it was just falling off him, and with the weight falling off him, his times were getting faster and he's getting closer and closer to me. And in swimming, you turn up and the session's on the board and everyone does the same thing. Really similar to CrossFit, it's about how hard you're working, and he didn't seem to have to work as hard to get like the same result.
Yeah.
He's super talented swimmer, awesome mobility, just like his position in the water and his efficiency was just better than mine. Well, that's what I thought at the time. So I thought I had to do more. And that was what was ingrained in me from a youngster. It's like, if you want to get better, you just have to do more. So I started doing extra sessions. And when you're already doing kind of 8 or 9 pool sessions, 3 or 4 gyms, a Pilates, a yoga, to do extra gym and extra spin classes is pretty excessive. So there were some nights and I would go downstairs and like do a 45-minute spin and then do another 45 minutes of gym by myself. And then even just like would do 3 really hard weeks and then a recovery week. That recovery week I just wouldn't recover as well.
Yeah.
I would go harder all the time. Like, say it was a 2 or 3K recovery session, I was secretly doing like hypoxic breathing and shit like that just to make everything a bit harder. Like all the time, like on every turn I was trying to go to 15 meters underwater. Everything I was just pushing and pushing. And on top of that, like when you have that stress kind of at training, I was taking it away from the pool as well. So I was stressed like kind of in traffic in Sydney, which is like normal, but that was stressing me out more than what it should have. I wasn't sleeping as well, and it was just affecting more than just my swimming. And so, so 2010, it kind of came to a point at the Commonwealth Games. I qualified. I qualified for the 50 and 100 fly. I still won those 2 events at nationals, but there was something that wasn't right. And when I was over in America for Pan Pacs, my coach pulled me out of a couple of events based off some blood work that I had done.
Okay.
So I pulled out of that, and he's like, "Man, you just got to rest. Like, we don't want you doing anything for the next 4 weeks leading to the Commonwealth Games."
Like zero training.
Zero.
Oh,
So.
wow.
For me, thinking that I was working this hard, he's like, "Nah, we can't get you to do anything." And like he said, in my mind, I was like, "Yeah, that's fine. I'll still win the Commonwealth Games." Like that was how kind of deluded I was. So, and then I got to the Commonwealth Games, and my first event was the 50 fly. I did the heat, qualified 4th or something in the morning. Went home, felt okay, came back and did the semi-final that night. And then as soon as I finished, I just had chills like through my body and like was completely like over. I went home and was vomiting and shitting for the next day and a half. Pulled out of the final.
Oh, you still qualified for the final?
Yeah, I still qualified for the final. Pulled out because all I wanted to do was 100 fly. And so hadn't come out of my room, barely eaten for 2.5 days, and then it was the heat of my 100 fly. The doctors came in, they're like, "Oh, you're not going to do the race." I was like, "Yeah, I'm going to do it. I'll still win. I'll be fine." And so I hadn't seen like light for a couple of days, and got to this.
Hadn't seen light.
Nah, like I was just in my room, like pretty sick, and people were just bringing me bits and pieces of food and stuff. And then got to the food hall, so massive food hall, like at the Commonwealth Games and the Olympics. The food hall's like as big as the MCG, and it's got McDonald's, it's got all this stuff in there, pasta bar, pizza bar. And so I got in there, and the lights, like, it was so bright, I had to put sunglasses on. And I was like, "Oh, I better eat some food." So I had some, like, oats with some water or something. And then got on the bus, and I just remember sitting at the back of the bus with my hoodie on, and it was a 45-minute trip on Indian roads, so it was, like, super bumpy. I had this mad headache and just like sitting there like this, right? And then I got there and I was like, "It's all going to be right. I'll just go and like quickly go to the toilet and vomit again."
That's sweet. That's good.
Yeah, I'll get it all out and I'll be fine.
In.
So I get to the arena, and the day that I was sick, the morning of my 100 fly, was the day when the sewerage stopped in like the sewerage. Yeah, of the toilets, they're all clogged. So I've gone into the bathrooms to vomit, and the toilet is full of shit.
Fuck.
So I had to vomit I had to vomit in that, and then I was like, all right, sweet. I'll go and stretch and stuff for a little bit. And I started stretching and didn't feel that good, so I had to go back and vomit. Then came back out, and I was like, "I'll go for a swim now." And all that process. So you go marshalling about half an hour before your race.
Yeah.
And I vomited a couple of times when I came out, and I saw Skippy or Hugo and the other guy going to the race. I was like, "Oh, I better do a couple of laps, like just to warm up, because I've wasted so much time."
Would they have done heaps of laps and warm up?
They would have done like 50. They've completely warmed up and stretched and probably got a massage and stuff. And I was just like
vomiting into shit.
Yeah. And so I was like, I better go and do a couple of laps. So I did 100 free. It was like the worst 100 freestyle of my life. And I was like, no, it's all good. It's all good. And I said to my coach, Stolly, I just do a 35 at 100 metre pace. So just 35 metres, like trying to hit my stroke rate, get a bit of rhythm, just like feel really good. And I pushed off and did like 6 of the worst dolphin kicks I've ever done. Normally I'll do like 11, come up at 15. I did like 6, came up at 10, and did like 4 strokes and didn't come up for a breath because I couldn't like pull myself up high enough. So and I was about 25 metres, and then I just stopped, sat on the lane rope. They like pulled me out, and then I just went home.
Fuck.
Yeah, and that was like my Commonwealth Games.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So did you?
And then I had another full day and a half in bed, right? And then I came back and watched like the medley relay team win the gold medal. That sucked.
And you were supposed to be in that team?
Yeah, I would have liked to have been in that team.
Wow.
And so Hugo won the 100 fly and then was part of that gold medal, which was awesome.
Wow.
So if you think you've overtrained because you've benched 3 days in a row, you haven't fucking overtrained until you've vomited on shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, fuck, that must have been a hectic experience.
Yeah.
How did you sort of go from there? Because you said you kept sort of training for a little bit till
Yeah.
like 2011.
Yeah, so I came back and then kind of I rested for a couple of months, and then for 2011 I was kind of trying to figure out what was wrong with me. I did a lot of like I was doing a fair bit of meditation and stuff. There was a centre in Paddington, Sydney that I went to, a guy called Tim Brown, and I did a couple of like lock-ins where they kind of lock you in a room for a weekend and you just perform this same routine over and over. And then sleep. So you perform this routine for a while, then sleep, perform the routine for a while, sleep. And they were feeding me, and that was making me a bit better. So I've followed like I think it's Ayurvedic, like kind of styled eating.
Yeah.
So like there's 3 different doshas or whatever.
Okay.
And I was eating based off my dosha a little bit more. So I got into that kind of holistic side of meditation and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I was also trying to experiment with endocrinologists, whether it was like, did I have sleep apnea, or is there something that's happening overnight where I'm having issues?
Yeah.
What else did I do? I had the main thing came back to like my testosterone levels. I had testosterone
Super
levels
low?
lower than Libby Trickett.
Oh, shit. Shit. She's pretty big, though, so I wouldn't be too disappointed.
Yeah, she's pretty strong. So that was probably the main issue, and it was just about getting that back. Like, I couldn't even get a boner at one stage, and it was like working on those bits and pieces to get myself healthy again. But as I was saying off air, like, I didn't even know when I was feeling good and what good felt like anymore.
Yeah.
So my perception of a 7 out of 10 when I thought I was feeling okay was really like a 5.
Yeah.
And so it was about that analysis of myself and just continuing to like rest and be easy on myself. And then finally, piecing it all together a little bit more. I think I came back to Melbourne for a couple of months and all I did was walk. I didn't swim for 2 months. And
No gym stuff?
No gym.
Yeah.
Just really took the weight off myself. And that was good. That was a really good time. And then 2011, I didn't make the national team. And a lot changes as soon as you don't make the national team. Like, your funding gets cut completely. And trying to live in Sydney when you're paying $250 a week
So
rent,
expensive.
and you're competing against people that are professional athletes, and you're not. It's really hard. So when the difference is 0.5 in 100 fly, and the difference could be like whether or not you get that massage or you get that physio treatment or you eat the right food, when you're struggling to survive, like those, to put that money forward is really hard.
Okay.
And you make sacrifices in looking after yourself for like your bank balance.
Yeah.
So I actually had to move back to Melbourne so I could live at home to afford those luxuries of massage and physio to compete with guys that are professional athletes and get all that stuff for free. So after 2011, I moved back to Melbourne and things were going really good, and I did a perfect preparation. Then 2012 didn't make the team, but was happy with my preparation and just felt like that was the end for me and just never went back.
So it gave you a little more closure knowing that you put together some good training and then were able to go, that was my best effort, and now I feel like I can walk away.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like I didn't make the team, but I was as proud of myself for that competition as any other one.
Yeah.
I'd done all the work. I I never really called them sacrifices, and a lot of people call them sacrifices when you're growing up, like the sacrifices for not hanging out with your friends, and
not
doing all this.
And,
It's not a sacrifice; it's just a choice. I chose not to because I chose that to like do well at the end.
Yeah.
It's only a sacrifice when you really feel like you're missing out. I didn't care about that stuff.
Yeah.
During year 12, I would take a Tetra Pak of juices to 18th birthday parties and drink that instead
That's
of
some
a
hardcore
six-pack.
shit. Yeah.
And then if that's who you are, like, people like you anyway.
Exactly.
Like, you don't have to conform just because that's what everyone's doing. I had my own goals, and my mates supported me with that. And that was the other thing. There's that balancing. Social life was a massive one for me. I never wanted to be kind of Andrew the swimmer. So that was when I probably, off the back, this probably added to like my sickness in 2009, 2010, is that I came off the back of the Olympics where I've got 3 medals, and all of a sudden I pick up a couple of sponsors. I'm sponsored by Speedo. I'm a face of an underwear range with Lara Bingle, and I'm on buses and trams and stuff. And I've got, sponsorship obligations and stuff, and I'm a professional athlete, and I'm Andrew the swimmer now, and not Andrew just a dude who can swim really well.
Yeah.
And that probably put more stress on myself than what I thought. So like taking on sponsors, can be sometimes at the detriment to that pure enjoyment of a sport, which is what I used to do. I used to train really hard, forget about it, go back and train hard at night.
Yeah.
Whereas like I thought that when I was this professional athlete, everything was about swimming. I'd wake up thinking about swimming, I'd train, leave the pool, like what can I do to get better? And that doesn't make you better.
Yeah.
It's that balance of like being able to switch off. Like come into the gym and smash it and then leave, do whatever you need to do to still get you right, but don't have it always at the front of your mind because it'll just burn you out.
Yeah, on that, like, swimming's been around for a long time. You've reached pretty high in it. Now that you're in CrossFit and you're sort of on the outside because you're not trying to beat Rich Froning in it, no one really knows what it takes to become the best at CrossFit. Everyone's still working it out. Do you see people sort of making the same mistakes you made that led to you getting overtrained in swimming? Sort of in the gym now, trying to work out what it's going to take to beat everyone around them?
It's hard because swimming was so repetitive. It's just the same thing. It's like a pool, so just up and down that pool, and it's a lot lower intensity, but the work the amount of work I'm doing now is equal to what I was doing when I was swimming.
In terms of volume of training?
Volume, yeah. And effort, like, on a daily basis. And I don't feel like I'm getting burnt out, and there aren't many people around me getting burnt out. So there's always that area for more. And
so you think it's the variety of training?
I think so, yeah. Like, mentally, probably physically as well. Like, the ability to mix it up a lot more. Like, so doing this a lot of times, it's just...
It's better for your body, this stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like more what we were built to do. We don't have fucking gills for a reason.
Yeah.
Well,
this motherfucker
some of us don't. Yeah, he might be a different story. Yeah. So how long have you been in CrossFit now?
What would be 2.5,
2 years,
3 years?
Yeah. So you started 2013 Open, so now we're 2015 Open?
Yeah.
2 years.
And you have competed at regionals before?
Yeah, I was in Schwartz's second team last year.
And that's after a year of CrossFit?
Yeah.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah.
And how did you find that experience?
Oh, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I loved it. Regionals was such a good time. Awesome people in the team, awesome people in the gym. And I think what Benji's got here is something pretty special, and it was something that I had in a couple of my swimming squads. If you create like a community that is really strong and like has a good work ethic, and for us, say an example would be, to do interval 50s on 40 and be able to do 50-50s on the 40 at like 12 or 13, and like not caring about what anyone else is doing, and all of a sudden if one person gets that and the next person steps up, like the level of training in this gym is just amazing. And you hear it all the time. Like Boris said the other night, he goes, after 15.5 I went 8:22, which is an awesome score, but he goes, just like after speaking to everyone else, I think it's shit. And it's really hard, but it's also really good, because everyone, if you come and train here, everyone gets good by default because everyone else is good, and you just continue to step up. And so we were like a really small swimming club. We were based out of Sandringham in a really crappy 25-metre pool, and there were 10 of us that went to age nationals. Seven of us won gold medals, and the other 3 won medals, just because like we had this core group of like really good work ethic, and we didn't like worry about what anyone else was doing. So we got there and like raced, and like holy shit, we're fast. Yeah. And just because like we train together, work hard. It's just like consistently improving. Yeah.
It's like all great gyms like that, like Westside Barbells, strongest gym in the world, because the strongest guys go there and they push each other up.
Exactly.
I always think like, if I stepped into that gym and I trained there for a year, what would happen to my squat?
Oh, you'd still be the worst, but you'd squat like with 200.
Yeah. You're the worst, but you're still bloody good if you go anywhere else.
Yes. That's a lot like Globo gyms as well, as like no one in a Globo gym squats 100 kilos.
No one takes out the big plates.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, you probably haven't had much time in Globo gyms, but
I can tell you right now that
Yeah.
100 in the squat rack in a Globo gym.
you're a freak show.
Yeah.
A lot of people do 40 kilos, maybe 60 kilos, and that's it. And it's not like I'm going to do 65, 70 and build it up. It's like I'm going to use a medium plate and do some squats, or I'm the guy that does just the bigger plate and does some squats. But very rarely do people put more plates on.
Yeah.
They don't see it as like 60 kilos, 70 kilos, 80 kilos. They see it as the big plate,
Yeah.
and then the small plate is like, it's retarded, you know?
awesome.
But that's the level. That's the level it's at. It's like, that's how you squat. You squat to quarter depth, and you just use a big plate sometimes. Yeah.
And I guess that was a little bit like the culture that we had on the Australian swim team too. And like there are teams that just have that. Like the Australian cricket team kind of have that now, and the Socceroos are starting to form that. And it's like that power in a team, like being a champion team is much better than a team of champions, and that's like how you continue to evolve.
Yeah. So have you sort of experienced any sort of overtraining in CrossFit like you did in swimming?
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
So you can still get a boner while you're doing CrossFit?
Ask my girlfriend. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Nice. That's good to know. So I want to kind of switch gears.
Yep.
Now you have sort of a new career now.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, so as I mentioned before, like I was working part-time with a company called Engine at the back end of my swimming career. I was sponsored by Engine as a youngster. They started off just doing goggles. Like it's just owned by a local guy called Toby Haynen. And then of the last financial year I've bought in. So, yeah, it's an awesome brand. Like we do kind of goggles, swimwear and all the accessories, and then a whole lot of like customized teamwear as well. So that's been a nice thing to have like straight after swimming, and then to do CrossFit as well. They work really well together. I guess with work, my role as kind of an owner, as you would know, you kind of do what you have to do to make it work.
Yep.
We do a lot of events Australia-wide, so it's given me opportunity to travel. Like even during this Open, I did a workout down at Warrnambool. I did...
I don't know where that is.
Warrnambool CrossFit's like on the coast, like maybe 3 hours away.
Okay.
And then did CrossFit Active Kincumber.
Oh, cool.
And then last week, 15.4, I did at Mooloolaba. So it's given me a really good opportunity to travel and train in other gyms and stuff. Yeah, and we're involved in surf lifesaving, which is an awesome like sport to be involved with. It's just super healthy. Kids down at the beach loving it. That whole lifestyle piece of like having a community and like having food and drinks and an activity for people to be involved in one space brings a whole lot of good with it. I was up in Maroochydore last weekend, and just how cool it is to see 10-year-olds, 11-year-olds, 12-year-olds coming down as packs of kids and like wanting to win is awesome. And that lifestyle is so cool. On the beach, surfing, swimming, running, just being fit. And then, just a really cool sport to be involved with. We're also involved in swimming quite heavily, but Speedo and a couple of those big dogs like make it really hard for a small business to really make an imprint, but it's just about chipping away.
Yeah, cool. And do you think you'll ever do anything in sort of the CrossFit realm in terms of trying to make money or working as a coach or anything like that? Or
probably not.
Okay.
No, I've dabbled in a little bit of swim coaching and stuff for my old school, and still do some privates with some kids. I'd prefer to endorse CrossFit more than anything. I'd like to do, like, I always want to continue to learn and like expand my knowledge. So we mentioned before, Coach Keegan, I want to do some of his real movement project, do a bit of that. I really should have done my CrossFit cert as well, just to have that under my belt. But my dream goal with work and pleasure is to combine the two. And there's Quicksilver up on the Gold Coast are doing it at the moment, and it's combining a retail space with like that lifestyle side. So a retail space like a store that's nicely integrated into like gym and a yoga fitnessy feel, like Pilates. So I would love to somehow combine my work with my passion, which is CrossFit and then engine in Sydney, and that's kind of I will probably look to move to Sydney next year to kind of start something up in that space.
The creature team is it's getting more beautiful each day.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So what do you think about swimming in CrossFit? We didn't talk about it much, but it's sort of getting a bit more popular.
Great question, Naf.
Yeah. The easiest way to improve your swimming for a CrossFitter is just to learn how to float. You'll see if you can learn how to float and streamline, you're going to be far better off than 90% of the other people out there. It's like when you see like AFL footy players or NRL footy players, they're so tight through their upper traps. Like if to get them in their streamline position, it's just not going to happen. So
we know exactly what we're talking about.
yeah. So if you can go to a pool and learn how to float, just like that body awareness is going to make massive changes. And then the next one's just learning how to feel the water. Floating and feel, like, so a lot of sculling, so out in the front, like feeling it, and then when you actually do go to swim and you can feel like your hands aren't just slipping through, you're holding onto some water, you'll be swimming way better in no time. But like if swimming was to come up in a CrossFit workout, I wouldn't be that good at it. I'd be good at it because I wouldn't have to try. I wouldn't smash someone by like 50 meters in a 200 meter race, but I would be able to do it easier than what they can.
The energy cost is so low.
Only because of my efficiency. Like I wouldn't have to try, and they would be slogging away. But if I was to go as hard as I could, I wouldn't win by that much. It would just like kind of root me. Yeah. And that's all you need. If you can like the difference between, it's like with on the row. As soon as you're rowing efficiently or with swimming or whatever, like you can just go 80% and be close enough to your 100% time.
So do you know a guy called, I'm not sure, was Tian DeWet?
No.
Okay. I'm pretty sure Tian was on the national team, or maybe he was on the state team. He might have been on the state team, but I'm not sure for what state, and he was 100 free or 50 free.
Yeah.
And he trains at our gym now.
Okay.
And probably the most impressive thing about his swimming background, as well as a guy called Brent Fikowski, who you might know, who was from the Canada region.
Yeah.
Yeah, his most impressive thing is that they just don't really seem to ever kind of gas out in terms of their, like, because their lung capacity is so massive.
Yeah.
Is that what you found as well?
Nah.
Not at all?
Watching last night, I can say he's been pretty truthful here.
Tian is like, he just has...
What distance did they swim?
Tian was a sprinter. Tian was a 100 meter sprinter. Yeah, he definitely I think he almost certainly swam at a national level in free. Yeah.
Wow.
Is there a picture of Tian? Maybe you could bring it up. Maybe
I feel like I blow out probably more than anyone, but that's because like my whole thing, like what I spoke about before, is not trying. And as soon as I try, I blow out. Yeah. So last night was probably my best open workout.
You did mention this last night. Yeah.
Yeah, it was my best open workout because I didn't really try at all the whole time, but just stayed nice and consistent and had a game plan. Whereas on a couple of the other ones, I probably went like that one or two reps a little bit too hard or too fast, and it just blew me out.
Yeah.
So, handstand push-ups. I was just gone. I had 2.5 minutes at the start of the 18s and just gone.
Yeah.
Because I tried for probably 2 reps too many.
Yeah.
So I guess, that doesn't apply for me at all. And Brent Fikowski, what level of swimming did he get to?
I'm not sure in terms... I know he got to a really high level of college swimming.
Yeah, cool.
But he was a really high-level water polo player. That was sort of his main sport, and he was just naturally a good swimmer on the side.
Yeah.
And if anyone knows Brent, like he was like second in the world for the 50s workout, so extreme lung capacity.
He's a weapon.
Yeah. And I think it's more just maybe those guys were sort of aerobic in nature anyway, and maybe like you're a bigger guy, so maybe you just weren't naturally aerobic, but you were good at swimming. Maybe Tian was more suited to the 200 meter or like 400, but it's just kind of interesting that like not all swimmers possess that like freak show lung capacity. But is there anything you found that you're like freakish in that you
besides shaking out your triceps?
Yeah.
That's a habit that doesn't go away.
That shit is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I do it a little bit because I did some swimming for a few years.
The old slap.
Yeah. But you just do it like it's like fucking...
What am I good at? I'd say my shoulder mobility is probably a strength.
Okay. Squat jerks.
Yeah, jerking. Anything overhead I'm quite good at. Overhead squat, just because I can get that position back here. Like I can catch a snatch. Like if I have to,
Right
really
behind.
far back, like horribly. My squat's weak, and I think that's because of swimming. My arse is weak, and I think that's
Ankles?
like I've got good dorsiflexion, but no plantar flexion.
No, you have
No,
no
you
dorsiflexion. You have lots of plantar flexion.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 So pistols, like I need to work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say my arse is really weak from swimming, and which is a surprise to a lot of swimmers. That because of that up kick, it should be a real strength, but I don't think it's probably worked enough. The hamstrings and the glutes.
Yeah.
I've found like if you were to go and like survey top level swimmers and how much they back squat, they like a Globo Gym swimmer. I mean Globo Gym goer, they're not squatting very heavy, but they probably should be doing more in that power output just for starts, turns, and that up kick.
Yeah. Have you had any sort of massive injuries in CrossFit yet that
No.
you found from like imbalances in your body? Not really.
I've had a bit of a back issue, which
Came from swimming?
I carried it on from swimming, and that it could probably has mainly to do with the way I sometimes look after my body, just like sitting down at work, which I've changed. So I'm now using like a stand-up desk.
Okay.
But yeah, I hurt my back kind of November last year, and that was purely my fault. And that's probably all like the only injury I've had. I did a double session on a Saturday, got really pissed at the Schwartz's Christmas party, laid in bed all Sunday. Worked all day Monday, sat at a desk, and then came in and tried to do some hang cleans, hang snatches, and back squats. And just then, I've had issues with my back. So I've done that Ido Patal squat, 30 minutes for 30 days, and the hanging, and that's like kind of fixed it. I don't know if it's purely as a result of that, but I haven't had any issues kind of since I started doing that.
Yeah.
And like another guy who was in the gym before, I've told him just like improve your hips and your knees and. I reckon your back will get better because he's just so tight. That's the one thing I don't do a whole lot of mobility, but just sitting in the squat has been the best thing for me because that was probably a weakness.
Yeah, because you don't really squat in swimming.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, anything past kind of here, you're not doing it.
Yeah.
That full range of motion.
Not a lot of hip flexion.
No.
Yeah. So we ask all our guests what their morning routine is because it's a key to success. So actually, what did it look like in 2008 for Lauto, and what does it look like now?
2008, it would have been alarm at an odd time, so maybe I was at the pool really early back then. I was probably at the pool before 5.
Fuck.
So I would have been at the pool at, say, 4:45. I lived in Mermaid Beach and trained in Southport, so my alarm would have been like a 4:17 or something like that.
That's what my swimmer... I had a high-level swimmer at my school when I swam with him, and he's like, okay, I'm going to pick you up at 4:23 because I get up at 4:21. It takes me 2 minutes to get your house.
I'm still the same. I'm still the same. Like, always odd numbers and always quirky odd numbers. Okay. So, say a 4:17 alarm, I would have had, back then, I would have been eating, like, toast. I would have had Vegemite on one piece and jam on the other and then put them together.
That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah, and so, like, what do they call it? Jelly in the
Peanut
US?
butter jelly.
Peanut butter jelly, but Vegemite jelly.
Way better.
Now, I've kind of still experimenting with what I like to do in the mornings, but like currently I'm getting up at 5:03. No, 5:03 plus 1 snooze, so 5:12 I'll be out of my bed.
Plus 1 snooze.
Yeah, I've introduced a snooze. I never used to snooze when I was swimming. So I'll get up and I listen to the 4-Hour Workweek blog with the Russian coach.
Pavlov?
Pavel. Pavel.
Sasaluni.
Yeah, about all that shaking. Shaking your arms and shaking your legs just to be more efficient, like not only in the morning but throughout the day as one of the first things that he does. So that's the first thing that I'll do now. Kind of like as I'm making a coffee before training, I'll just be moving my body, and then I'll do probably 20 air squats before I leave the house. So I'll just have before I come and train because I'm always doing the 6 a.m. I'll get here about 5:30. I'll have just a coffee, and then I'm on the natural whole foods kind of paleo.
Yeah.
Is that
well done?
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, paleo breakfast. So it'll just be a couple of eggs, some bacon, and probably a little bit more butter as well. I experimented with the bulletproof
coffee.
Yeah, coffee. And now the other thing that I've just introduced at work is I'll have some Siltep. and some.
Oh, is that the deer antler thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not the actual deer antler one. I buy from optimoz.com.
Oh, wait, no, sorry. Siltep's the
Siltep.
caffeine and...
Yeah.
Yeah.
I use Siltep and Smart Caffeine.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then I'll just fly through the morning, just really efficient. And Kim, he's also done it as well. Is trying to apply, like I'm trying to dictate my day a little bit more than rather being dictated to by my email. So
lifestyle by design.
Yeah. So coming up with my not really a to-do list, but things that I'd like to achieve this morning before I'm being dictated or pulled in a lot of directions. And I guess that's my role at work, is that I know a lot about everything because I kind of came in and just shadowed Toby, who's the director, and just learned about every area of our business. And I'm probably a little bit more approachable than Toby when it comes to getting answers for stuff. So I can find that I can walk into the office and I'll have 15 people asking me to do something for them or find something out for them.
Yep.
So now I'm creating more time for myself, and I won't allow that to happen until kind of after 10 o'clock. And I've also set up that autoresponder on my email. I'm actually out of the office at the moment until kind of the end of April at events, so that's given me a lot more time and helped reduce my stress on getting back to people straight away and following through. And then just also I've added kind of CCing in a lot more people to not sending an email saying let me know, just pass this on to someone else and just get it done. I guess that's the thing as a business owner, passing on that trust and responsibility to someone else. At some stage you have to do it. Like this morning I've got 2 staff down at Ocean Grove, which is about an hour and a half away down the coast at an event, like a relatively important event.
Triathlon?
No, Surf Life Saving.
Oh, okay.
So Life Saving Victoria's Open Championships, and something that I could have been at and it would have been worthwhile for me to be at, but for my balance and kind of having some form of life.
Got to be on the My Muscle Project.
Yeah, exactly. I had to make time for this, but this is probably going into next week going to leave me in a better mindset because I'm not down there. Now I'm positive about going down there tomorrow and working all day and then going to work on Monday kind of thing. So I made that choice for myself, and some days when I'm driving to work I'll have to pull over and have a coffee because I'm pissed off at something at work even though no one's done anything. So just being conscious of all those things, because that will make me more efficient. And I think that now that I'll probably be training for regionals, that's going to be the biggest thing for me, because I'll be in a team with guys that are kind of professional CrossFitters or at least coaching. So I want to kind of make our top team, and I don't want to be the weakest link. So I'm going to have to be more efficient with kind of everything I do, and that was the way I kind of survived making my first national team in Year 12. When I was at school, it's just all about communication and manipulating a weekly schedule to still get all the work in, but doing it the most efficient way. And that's probably the one thing that I pass on to a lot of kids, is that you can do everything when you're at school. You can still train, have a social life and do well at school. It's just about that open communication and then manipulating your schedule. I was doing 8 pool sessions a week in Year 12. I'll just do all mornings. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday mornings. And then I'd go Monday night and Friday night. Because
I was going to say, how did he fit 8 morning sessions in 7 days?
So 6 mornings, 2 nights. And I felt like Friday night, if I get homework, it doesn't matter. I can do it on the weekend. And Monday, there can't be that much homework. It's only Monday.
Yeah.
So that's an easy way to do 8 sessions. I'm just going to have to try and find that balance now with work and CrossFit, because I do travel a fair bit.
Yeah.
So when I'm in Sydney, I'll have to hit you guys up, which will be in about 10 days' time.
Oh, sick.
Nice.
Yeah.
So maybe we'll do episode 2.
Yeah.
Laura, thanks so much for being on, man. I personally really enjoyed this podcast. There were some really cool stories in there.
Awesome.
And it's always good to get perspective from high levels of other sports, which is something that a very small percentage of people have done. So thanks for sharing those experiences so honestly.
Beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Oh, just quickly, sorry. How do we find you? Engine Swimwear, Lauter?
Engine_swim on Instagram. And then my personal Instagram's Lauterstein. And then our Facebook's Engine Engine Swim Australia.
Yeah.
On Facebook, yeah.
Sweet. Go like them and go follow their stuff and go buy some stuff, guys.
And we'll see you at Wollongong.
Yeah. On
Fingers
the floor.
crossed.
All right, cool. Thanks so much, Stu. Cheers, guys.
We'll be competing against each other. Hopefully.
You call us competing.
These are good.
They're cool, eh? Yeah.
Oh, it's actually really easy to speak in them.
And it's more engaging.
Way better.
You feel like what you're saying is important.
You do, yeah. Like it's really good.
Dude, that story about vomiting in the shit was so good.
It's a good story.
Yeah. And you slammed 25 meters.
No, I actually thought I was still going to win though.
It was fucked.